Good afternoon, Fit Fam. This is Stefan, and today I'll be talking about how you can develop your own game plan when it comes not just to fitness, but if you are an athlete and you are in sports. Now, this will be mainly focusing on the mental aspect of training and skill development that will help set you up for long-term success. Now, getting into it, I will start with me as an example and my experience in powerlifting and how I took my powerlifting training to the next level. And a lot of times coaches will only help their clients or their athletes in one aspect. They'll give them a training program, they'll help them with their movements just a little bit, but they're never able to dive into the psychological and mental game of either the sport or the training. And so a lot of clients or athletes, they see development on the physical side, but they're never able to take their skill to that next level. In order to take your skill to that next level, you need that mental game to be in place. Now, I will start with me, for example. Starting off, when I first got into powerlifting, all I did was I just did the movements. I focused just on how my body's squatting and if my numbers are going up. Am I putting 5 pounds on the bar, 10 extra pounds on the bar? Is my deadlift increasing? All these things. And I would just focus on doing the movement, and that was it. And I would do bodybuilding movements and other movements along those lines. I would go home, I would rest, and I would get back into the gym. But when I really wanted to take my game to the next level, I remember this was my second competition, and I had hit a plateau and I couldn't progress over my deadlift. I was deadlifting the sumo 650 pounds, and I was training, I was doing all my workouts, and I could not see my number progress. And so I was sitting there one day and I was like, man, I'm working hard in the gym. I go in, I do my workouts, I come home, I take my vitamins, I take my supplements, but I'm not seeing progress. And that's when I realized, and that's when it clicked for me. I was watching a video by Kobe Bryant, and he really dove into how that mental game really will play you out, because you're able to create a process and really formulate a set of moves based on the circumstances that you are given. And so I made an earlier video talking about how you want to play chess with your body, but now when it comes to really taking your game in either your sport or your lifting to that next level, you want to formulate your own unique game, because since everyone is unique in nature and everyone's circumstance is unique in nature, everyone's game is going to look a little different. That's why it's very important that you don't really emulate too much of everyone you see online. Yeah, you can take things that they're doing and you can emulate their success just a little bit, but you want to take pieces of that and formulate your own game. So for example, let's say you're a powerlifter and you're looking at all the top powerlifters. You can take notes from them. You could take some of the things you're doing, but after that, you need to then formulate your own game. And what that will look like, what I realized was, okay, cool, I'm going into the gym, but I don't really have a process for setting up my deadlift. All I do is I kind of just walk up to the bar, I do a couple things, and I just go into it. There's no mindfulness, there's no technique, there's no intention. And so what I did was, my coach had given me a deload, and during that deload process, I was like, okay, this is the time where I can really dive in deep into absolutely every single thing I'm doing with my body. And this will pay you tremendous dividends, not just in training, but in every aspect of your life, because this will increase your conscious awareness of everything you're doing. And so you'll be able to see the weaknesses, you'll be able to see kind of the improvements that can be made, because now you're coming from the standpoint of how can I improve instead of how can I just get this done. And so what I began to do is I began to formulate a process. Okay, how many steps am I taking in between my path to the bar and my setup? How long is it taking me to set up? How long does it take the bar to move off the ground? What am I doing as I'm lifting the bar off the ground? Am I bracing? Am I breathing properly? Okay, after I reach the top of the deadlift, how am I setting the bar down? And even before, how am I warming up? I realized for me personally, because I'm a smaller lifter in stature, that I had to warm up quicker. Some lifters, they'll take their time warming up. I realized, hey man, I don't have the energy to warm up, so I gotta get to my top set as fast as I can. And so I would literally go plate by plate by plate by plate, top set as quickly as possible, because I realized I don't have the energy level of some of these bigger guys in order to take those slower progressions. And so I formulated my game to more so suit my unique circumstance. And so if you're an athlete or you're a lifter, I'll use football players, for example. Let's say you're a DB and you realize, okay, I got to formulate my unique game. You might not be the fastest on the field. You might not be the tallest. You might not be the strongest. But you're like, hey, man, I'm going to be the smartest. I'm going to understand coverage. I'm going to understand the offense better than the offense understands themselves. And so what that'll give you the ability to do is they'll give you the ability to tap into a state of flow. And so once you've minutely dialed in a process in a game plan so much that it becomes subconscious, now when you enter the higher levels of training or sports, you're able to lock in, and your body's able to literally do and operate on its own without you even having to really think about it. Now your mind can more so focus on other things. So what I realized was one of the things that was holding me back in my lifting was that I was too focused on the weight as I would approach the bar. And by coming up with my own unique process and system, I was now able to not focus on the weight so much because my body knew exactly what to do. And so I was more so able to focus on other things. Like, okay, I'll just focus on my breathing instead of focusing on the weight. Let's say we'll continue to use the DB example with football. Now, because you formulate your own process in your own game, now you're not more so worried about, okay, how is my body moving? How am I going to cover this guy? Now you're more so focused on, okay, what's the quarterback doing? Okay, what's the running back doing? Okay, what's everyone else on the defense doing? Okay, that guy just went in motion. All right, let me sit back a little bit. All right, cool. And then now you're able to tap into the higher levels of training and the higher levels of game play. If you found this of value, click like, click subscribe. I will be continually to come out with content to help athletes, lifters, and people that are trying to develop their fitness and taking it to that next level. More so tapping into the mental aspect of training as well as the physical. I will be also putting out content that helps with the physical nature of lifting, but more so what I see a lack of in today's more so fitness and sports world is a lack of that mental side. Once you can tap into that mental side, you can tap into higher states of sports and things along those lines. Again, click like, click subscribe, and you guys have a great rest of your day.